Wait, gotta wait before we are officially live, and it says we are live. What is going on, everyone? Flynn Masters coming at you with episode 8 recap of Hell's Kitchen season 23, Head Chefs Only. Holy mackerel! I went into this episode. We all kind of had an idea what was going to happen. Wow, dude! Now all of a sudden we have a lot to talk about, and I'm so excited to be joined not only by my co-host but as a special guest, Brittany from the season. Of course, we took a little bit of break last week with Tejas from season 22.
Yes.
But we're back on the season 23 train. Brittany, how are you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm feeling great. I wanted to represent a little bit of Kyle, a little peekaboo action tonight. I found this today wearing it, and I'm feeling great. This episode, I feel in a great mood because, I was able to literally like sit back and relax then. And so tonight, it was great to be able to know that I, made it through.
I
So
was
I'm
gonna say,
celebrating with a little wine, a little vino.
yeah, chat. Just we're all good with that, chat, for sure too. So, yeah, let's say I'll get back to you, Brittany, in a second to kind of talk about your time on this, what you think about the season so far. But of course, I got to introduce my co-host, Ultranatic. How are you doing, my guy?
Doing pretty good. If y'all notice this, this is a little thing that me and my partner Kumarai Fang share between us. I don't know if they're watching this live stream. They're probably working right now, but I'll say like much love to them, and much love as well just to being on this podcast and having Brittany grace us with her presence.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Also, Kyle's already talking to me, texting me, telling me that he wore this better. So I'm curious later.
Oh, Kyle. Oh,
I'm gonna be respectful and say he kind of did,
wait,
but
wait.
not if that's
Oh,
not a
I
slam
was
against you. It's just one of those things where it's like he does kind of own it a little bit better. That's it.
I was
Oh,
gonna.
come on. I'm wearing leather shorts, but all right. Moving on.
It looks like we missed. I was gonna say, I know you said Kyle's watching. It looked like he made a comment. So. I don't know if I missed this comment, but Kyle, if you're watching, you make a comment again, man. I do see no, that's not you. Sorry, TV rules. Hannah is to join us. What's going on, Hannah?
I
Oh, there he is. And for the first time, we joined by Kyle. What's going on, Kyle? Oh my goodness, so good to see you here for sure.
I knew that the outfit would draw him in. I just
Yeah,
wanted to
go
do it
figure.
to start a stir, stir it up the drama.
If you wear pink leopard tops, he will come.
Although it
For
looks
sure,
like
yeah.
someone like clawed me,
For sure, yeah, that's what gets them in. Forget all the other Hell's Kitchen content we've talked about and all the other stuff we've been on. It's that like draws them in. But it's good to have you, Kyle, here. It's good, as you can see, Kyle, you're a huge fan favorite. But speaking of favorites, Gumball, my guy, what happened to you? Your first ever Hell's Kitchen Power Rankings. Oh, we got a lot to talk about you. You're number one. I think for every number one for each week so far. He is out of this competition. How are you doing tonight? With all that said, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. I mean, I just finished watching the episode. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's stuff like this that makes my job here very interesting. Trying to understand like what it is that is happening with the season, trying to figure out what direction things are going in. What the people that put together the show were thinking when deciding that this is how we're going to tell our story. And yeah, I mean, I think we're going to have a very interesting discussion tonight, and I'm definitely going to have my work cut out for me for the next video.
I was gonna say this season, man. I've been kind of back and forth on this season, so I think a lot of people have been. But again, no matter what you can think about this season, whoa, man, this season just changed dramatically. I don't just think for me or Gumball, but for a lot of people in chat, because it definitely seemed Anthony was going to win this season, and to him not even make a not even make blackjack and not even make top 10. That is absolutely wild. So we got all of that to discuss and more with Brittany, of course. So Brittany, before we get into this episode, again, that's crazy. We're already almost halfway into the season. So any thing you want to say about your time on the show so far, about your edits, about something we might have missed, just anything you want to tell the audience in the first 8 episodes so far?
I think someone likes me in the edit because it's making me look very like a good person. I'm a little bit more edgy than that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, you can be edgy and nice.
I love it this season. It's been so amazing. I have been recognized in public like 3 times, which is like really cool and flattering and sweet. I've gotten some really wonderful people reaching out to me. And honestly, it's just been so amazing to like relive being on the show, which really kind of brought Stella's groove back. I was going through a really difficult time, and kind of seeing me progress throughout the series it just kind of reminded me of like how resilient that I was and have been. And it's been really great to watch. And I love watching all the different chefs on the show that I know very personally and seeing how that they are portrayed. And, it's just been a wonderful ride. I'm so grateful for this experience and to be with you guys tonight. So thank you for having me.
Was just again is just gonna say, guys, if you have questions for Brittany, we'll take them throughout, and we'll definitely save some time at the end there. We definitely have a larger audience than usual already, so that's really cool. So yeah,
I wonder why.
Yeah, I was just gonna say this. We're all playing together, right?
Someone had to say it.
Yeah, Lucas wants to know. His dad wants to know how you made pasta in under 10 minutes. Is that it?
Oh my gosh. Thank you for asking that question. I officially made it, I think, in 3 minutes and 45 seconds. And honestly, just doing it in repetition and understanding the dough helped me do it. But I just got extremely lucky. You cook pasta with love. And luckily I wasn't too cut up or too angry, and it worked out in my favor. Yeah, it's a simple recipe once you know it, but it is definitely a miracle.
Awesome, cool. So yeah, let's get on into this episode. I thought it was funny, Gumball, that like, even the narrator, I can't remember exactly what he said, but like he was like surprised. Didn't he say something like along the lines of like, for some reason, Amanda wasn't nominated and it was a Anne Marie and Megan, and Megan got sent home. So what was your thoughts on that, Gumball, and just overall the aftermath of that somewhat controversial elimination?
Yeah, I mean, I caught that bit from the recap as well, and yeah, like, I think I still am a bit surprised why Amanda wasn't put up, like especially with the amount of screen time she got last week for her service, and even with all the screen time she got in this episode. Like, it does seem like the show is like, it's not only like dunking on her for like making mistakes, but it's also like having her constantly say that, oh, Chef Ramsay's right. He's right about this. He's right about that. Like, I mean, he knows what he's talking about. He knows that I like am making all these mistakes, and yet for some reason, like, she still keeps skating by. So like, yeah, like I did find that funny, that bit from the recap, and yeah, like I do think the aftermath of the elimination was pretty interesting, with Amanda here talking about how she felt guilty about Megan going home, but Whit was sort of giving her a pep talk, saying that she just has to like keep going because at the end of the day, this is a competition.
And Brittany, you were part of that conversation as well with and Amanda. So what's your thoughts on that? Because again, that was the chat thought it was a controversial elimination. What was your whole take on the Megan going home and what Amanda had to say afterwards? Because she even was like upset herself, it seems. So what was your take on the whole thing?
Yeah, each time there's an elimination, or people putting people up for elimination, it's just so difficult and complicated that it's impossible to show like all the different things going on. But I remember that conversation very clearly. And, at the end of the day, whether whoever was supposed to go home went home, that's how I just look at it. And I think that she was there for a reason. And I think once we make a decision and it happens, we just have to move forward. So I just Ann Witt kept encouraging her that, hey, this is where you're supposed to be. I think there's parts of Amanda's personality that haven't been shown. So maybe sure some of the mistakes were shown, but there's also really other things about being a chef. We all kind of make mistakes, but it's more about this well-rounded kind of overall characteristics. And I know that she has a lot of value to bring to the kitchen. So I'm sure that was why that decision was made.
Cool. And real quick, while we're on that topic, I always got to ask this: what's it like, standing in front of Ramsay for elimination? Your time, especially, was quite the wild one, where neither you or Megan went home, and Magali went home. So that's probably been one of the more crazy eliminations of the season so far. So what was that whole experience like?
Well, that one specifically, that experience, one of the greatest feelings of my competition life, was so cool because I always kind of feel like I'm in life the person kind of really good at things, but always climbing to the top. And it feels good to be like, he completely was like, no, it's not you guys, and then pulling someone from the line. It was very dramatic, but it was very real, and it's what happened, and it was awesome. But yeah, being out there in front of Ramsay, not knowing whether you're the one to go, especially after that, knowing that you could go home without being nominated, it really makes you like get your shit together. Can I cuss?
Yeah.
I'm trying to be better, but get your shit together. It really, being in front of him makes you be like, woof, anything could happen.
For sure. Yeah. So cool. So I'll go back to Gumball for a second. So you kind of touched on this before stream started, Gumball. So Anthony did get another backstory talking about, boy, and I did not expect this. The season keeps getting more emotional. How he battled cancer, oral cancer, almost died at a young age from that. So I thought it was just more good content. He was going to have another good dish early later in the episode to survive. You thought it was the other way around. And chat, let me know what you all think as well, chat, if this was bad news for you or good news for you when it comes to Anthony. Gumball, you thought this is kind of set up for some red flags for you.
Yeah, so like I talked about this, about you before we went live, but yeah, like it just felt like too much, like because we already have like a lot to sympathize with Anthony over, like with him talking about his grandma. Like it felt like it was like the perfect like amount. But then when you add on top of this, like the fact that he had like cancer like twice and like he had to get surgery and like all this stuff, like obviously it's like for one, it's like wow, like the fact that he went through all this like is like insane. Like I mean, obviously that's incredible, but like when you're thinking about it from a storytelling perspective, like it's like it's just too much. Like if he's the winner of the season, like this feels like way too much to be getting. Like especially like in the first half of the season, like I feel like they didn't need to add that extra element to it. So like I did think in the moment like it was a little bit fishy. Mind you, I didn't think it was going to lead to him being the boot in this episode, at least not immediately. Yeah. Where my thought was like, okay, like is he going to be like a Jonathan at this point from last season? Because I was very high on Jonathan for a lot of last season. It wasn't until like later on that you started to see more of his holes. But like I thought it was like making me think to myself, like, am I just falling for Jonathan again? So like obviously we can talk about that more as the episode goes along, but that's what I was thinking. I was thinking something which is a little off with that scene.
Yeah. But a ultra, what do you think about this? I thought it was kind of an interesting challenge, and Brittany, I'll get to you in a second. But yeah, it's kind of one of my all-time favorite challenges was the Vegas roll challenge. This was kind of similar to that, right? In a way, kind of seeing what the first thing kind of comes to your mind. It was kind of different, but at the end of the day, kind of similar. No.
It was a direct homage to the game show, the $10,000 Pyramid classic. It's I gotta appreciate that. I do have to obviously call out, love you, Kyle, but yeah, I gotta call out that you had to give a 4-word clue for Jasmine Rice, and even then, you got the wrong Disney film. Sorry, you see the posters behind me. I'm into animation. Even I'm like, what? You thought Jasmine came from Beauty and the Beast? What? Come on. I'm sure you were probably a little bit embarrassed about that too.
I mean, mortified. It's mortifying.
Yeah, I mean, granted, love both movies, just saying. But yeah, I personally like the idea of this challenge. Otherwise, yeah, it is kind of a similar format to prior challenges where if you get certain questions right, you can either put that ingredient with one of your proteins or with one of your opponent's proteins, stuff like that. I personally do like that idea. I grew up with my game shows. Like the Game Show Network was something I watched religiously growing up. Surprise, given what I'm into reality TV as is. So yeah, I'm pretty well versed, and I was like, you know what, I love this callback.
Cool.
I'm laughing because Kyle said, I'm laughing what Kyle said. He's so funny. Yeah, it was very shocking. We all gave him so much crap for messing that up.
To be fair, you'd give me crap too if I was made that mistake, because again, animation.
Well, I was going to say, Brittany, because I would just freak out on something like this. I'm so bad at thinking on the spot like this. So it seems that you did pretty well from this challenge. What was this challenge like for you?
I mean, I agree with Whit. I freaking love word association games. I'm usually better at giving the clue than I am guessing it. You guys want to practice? I'm kidding. I'll pick a vegetable. No. I really liked this challenge. As soon as this happened, I thought, okay, it's an intellectual challenge. I pride myself on being more than just a chef. And not that, we all are so smart and intellectual and have our other lives outside of the kitchen. And this is something I love. I'm a writer and I love word association. So I was pumped. Yeah, and I love the challenges, in my opinion, were my favorite. Like cool. That's where I shine the most. I love it. I love being able to be like, do this now, 5 minutes. And I'm like, yeah, yes, chef,
For sure, for sure. Cool. Yeah, that like I said, I would just freak out on something like that. I'm sure it's easier since you're thinking about food. If it's just like something random or something like that, I think it'd be harder. But yeah, I could see myself like going mind blank on a challenge like that. But I nonetheless, let's all talk about this challenge. So from what we saw of it, despite Gumball, despite Egypt doing so well these past couple of episodes, the team once again sat him out. He once again got redemption. I've got to say, I'm so interested, guys. If you haven't checked out Gumball's power rankings, boy, you got to check them out now because, man, I can imagine just how different they're going to be this week. So, if you could give us a little bit of spoiler, because once again, Egypt is kind of a catch-22. The team still doesn't believe in him, but he got the point. Or he would have got a point, and that had he been had they had Pig his dish. And that obviously saved him from competing in the Cook for Your Life challenge. So what do you think about this episode for Egypt, who I know you're going higher and higher on as weeks go on?
Yes, like I feel like Egypt has largely redeemed himself here. And I think this episode was kind of more the same, if I'm being honest. Now, there's still some worry that he could be like this final boot before the Black Jackets, or maybe like the first boot of the Black Jackets. Like, obviously, there's still like a lot that can happen and a lot that you can't really predict. But I think now that Anthony's off the table, like I think that kind of like opens up the field a little bit more for someone like in Egypt to creep in there. So I feel pretty good about Egypt.
I'm curious now where I lie on this ranking.
Yeah, where did she lie?
Yeah, so let me see. So
not to make this all about me, obviously. Go Egypt.
So in the most recent episode, now don't be mad, Brittany. I had you number 9 out of 11 in last week's ranking.
But keep in mind,
12,
he reads
you mean 12.
Yeah, well, 12 is
12
was Megan, but basically like of the people still in the game, like it's 9 out of 11. But
hey, you know what? I'll take it. I'm not on the bottom. Yeah.
Again, like it's not like a reflection of like your cooking ability. Like it's more so like I try to like read the edit the best I can. So like I mean, blame the editors more than anything.
Yeah, but we saw that
it's really interesting to do that. I challenge myself to do that on shows too. I'm like, I want to know like how you're talking about how they told the sad story at the beginning. When I watch other shows, I'm like, I really want to figure this out before it happens. So I get it.
Yeah, and Hell's Kitchen was so interesting in that, like, it is just like go, go, go. So it is interesting, especially in a season like this where we've had a bunch of emotional moments so far, to kind of read into the edit.
Yeah.
And so because of that blindsided all us tonight. Hey, so Ultra, what do you think about this? We kind of like, I forgot who predicted this last week. It might have been Mateus, but obviously the wits kind of, pumped up Egypt afterwards. And in fact, it kind of led to commercial break. Are we actually going to see an Egypt and Wit final 2 in your opinion? Like, wouldn't that be epic? What's your opinions on this now that Anthony's gone?
I mean, for one thing, that does shatter my final 2, which I love that everybody's like, oh, like what? Like, I wonder how Gumball's going to feel about this. What about me? He's in my draft. now I'm down. Yeah. I mean, granted, technically, it's 4-4-2 at this point. So, but yeah, that being said, do I think an Egypt and Wit final 2 is possible? It's in the cards. I'm not banking on it because I don't think that there's ever been a final 2 in Hell's Kitchen that had personalities that strong. At least not for both people. For one of them, usually, yeah. And it's not like we've always had like blocks of wood or anything is like the final 2, but usually there's going to be at least one person who's kind of like more mellow and a more calm state of mind, someone that you probably have a little more assurance as a leader in. No disrespect to either of them, but that does strike me as maybe more of a Hannah or a Lulu type at this point in the competition. So that would be who I'd be more banking on. But as for at least one of those two making the final 2, I do think that that's very possible.
Oh man, a bad timing.
Anthony just got in.
I know, bad time for the 2 picks. Anthony, oh my God, I cannot believe this is literally one of the most shocking moments in Hell's Kitchen history to see you gone. You are gone far too soon. I just told the chat to get final 2 picks as we did last week. And pretty much a lot of people, like 90% of people had you in the final 2, if not winning the season. So yeah, I mean, it stinks to see
what
you.
An upset. Oh, man.
I know. This was an insane upset, Anthony. I know it stinks to you to go so soon, but if there is any upside, we are all shocked that you are gone. So this is crazy. So glad to have you here, currently working. But yeah, just want to stop. So that means so much, man. Thank you for joining.
And I just want to say that personally, Anthony was one of the people I was the closest with, and so it was very difficult because I was happy for the red team, but it was definitely hard to see, Chef Anthony go. So we'll see where it goes.
And
Yeah,
so, Anthony, as well, I wanted to say, I'm just happy that you were able to win that battle against cancer when you did. No matter
for real, yeah.
Absolutely. I'm so happy that you're still with us. Just being an amazing person on this planet, also being obviously an amazing chef. I don't care what got you eliminated. You're a winner in my eyes.
How can we not do a second? Like, there's so many second chance. If we had to have a second chance season in the future, maybe this episode was meant to finally give us a second chance type season, because
I feel like it would be cool to see people that usually it's always winners or semifinalists. It would be really cool to see people that made a big fatal mistake or something that was, or just that straw that broke the camel's back. You know what I mean? Versus rankings.
It's just one mistake. That's what I'm saying. Anthony was literally one mistake all the competition, and he doesn't even get past 10th place in the top 10.
But I feel again, the same thing that sorry to interrupt. The same thing that I said with Amanda, though. I feel like there's also just bigger picture. Sometimes I think that we're not able to necessarily see or understand, even from our perspective, right? For the viewers, it's limited, and for us it's the same. There's things we don't know he's looking for, or what it is he's seeing, but his eyes, Ramsey's always watching us. So there, it would be hard to think that only one mistake is what did it, but it still sucks to make that thing that clenches that.
We'll talk about. That's the thing. The reason why a lot of people don't like the Cook for Your Life challenge is because it's really hard. If it's two dishes that are kind of neck and neck, right? If there's someone who's made mistakes in the past, okay, that's the tiebreaker. If you're not interested in TV, again, Brittany, how big of a fan of the show are you?
I've never actually, until I was on it, I've never actually seen a full episode. I've seen obviously all the classics, and going into it, I did my research, right? So I would look up the top 10 worst dishes, things that he didn't like, that he liked. But I'm not, I did a massive amount of research, once I got casted, and I mainly was just trying to look for what he hates. And my mom actually, shout out to you, Mama, she, it's a joke, but I always tell her, she told me, Brittany, this is what she watched 3 seasons for me. Yeah.
That's cool. Sorry. Yeah. That's so. What was the? Oh yeah. The point I was trying to make. Some points to talk about. We got to cover this real quick. Yeah, the first ever chef to not only keep his blue jacket. I forgot, because obviously there's been plenty of That is right, Ultra, right? Because we've had Rachel keep her in season 2, keep her red. No, wait, she got a flashback. Elise and Jennifer kept their red jacket. Sterling, he's the first ever chef to keep his blue jacket. It sounds like that's crazy. That's amazing.
I do believe that is true. I might go.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, that is amazing. But hey, he earned it.
That's what I'm saying. That should tell you everything you need to know. Going back to my points, about the Cook for Your Life challenge. One reason why a lot of fans don't like it, again, if you're between 2 people and one character is more interested in the other, well, again, maybe the more interesting character had the worst dish, but you can always kind of get rid of the less interesting character. It's just an easy excuse. You can't. In Anthony's case, unfortunately for Anthony, there was just no getting around the fact that he made a fatal fall on his dish. There's just no way to really edit around that. Ramsey, unless Ramsey just literally hid that from the camera or something like that, which I guess he could have done. But there was just no way he could get around that, and that's what did him in. So I think the reason why Anthony got to keep his jacket, because I'm sure Ramsey, like one of the comments said earlier, thought for sure Anthony could have won this competition, and just one little small mistake did him in. So I think that should tell you everything you need to know, that he is the first person to ever keep his blue jacket and get to keep the jacket at the final 11. That's just crazy. So
I will give Ramsey credit on this at the very least. Unlike Barrett from season 11, at least he realized, if you make a fail mistake, I gotta eliminate you. Sorry. Love Anthony. I'm not dissing his skills as a cook, but for that challenge, that was the biggest mistake, and it could have really hurt somebody, if not outright killed them. So
honestly, I also feel like if you've noticed, there's a lot of mistakes that slide too. Right. That always, especially after that elimination where we were, where Macaulay was unfortunately, eliminated from. To me, I was a little surprised too in these eliminations sometimes that leaving things off of a plate, weren't elimination worthy when you're head chefs only, right? That's what this season was about. So I think that it took many episodes rather than just that one mistake for Anthony, because there were a lot, including myself, that have made, singular big mistakes, right? And it's just sad to see it all come down to that.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Lulu
Yeah.
made the same point how like these small mistakes in a season like this can really be the difference. Yeah, since Anthony, we kind of jumped around a little bit. Let's go back to the reward challenge though. Brittany. So how'd you feel about this challenge going in? And on top of that, how was this? It was a very interesting reward, it seemed like for you.
Oh, listen, it was terrifying in there. We're pent up with anger. Like, there's so much emotions at this point. In the competition, we're really far in. We're over halfway at this point. We're at halfway, and that was one of the greatest rewards. I always wanted to do a smash room. It was crazy being there with 5 women who like haven't slept much, barely, like under a lot of stress. But it's so good getting out with the girls. That meal was really nice. Whitney did tell us and share with us a really great story. The meal was delicious. Honestly, I was just telling my friend this tonight. The best part about the challenges was usually the food. If we could win the challenge, then we would have like a really epic meal from like really amazing East Coast chefs. And oh man, just watching it brought me back. And that's what food's supposed to do, right? It's like a loving thing, connects us all together. And I think with all the competition, having those breaks with the team, we're really grateful. I was really grateful for those.
For sure. Ultra, what do you think about this? It was challenging, really interesting, and like obviously it makes sense in retrospect, but like they didn't like judge one dish at a time. It was like if 2 chefs did pork and they kind of judged that.
I
And
did like that though too. I liked going head to head against the team.
You like
It
that,
keeps
so
us all
yeah,
on
yeah.
our toes.
I do prefer going ahead against team 2, but I guess given the setup, they couldn't quite guarantee that every single pro team would have just that one opponent. But I don't know. You probably could have done that as like you probably could have done like the pork dishes from the blue team versus the pork dishes from the red team.
Yeah, you could have maybe, yeah.
Oh, that reminds me. Pure coincidence. Brittany, I'm not much of a cook myself, but today I began prep for a potluck that I'm going to be a part of tomorrow. Bruschetta. So,
Listen, I make the best. I'm going to say it right now, live for anyone that wants Bobby Flay.
I would love to try that bruschetta from you.
For sure, yeah.
I just made it for my clients last night, actually, and I tried to tell them, and they bit into it, and then they were like, I was like, yeah, I told you. But that's so cool. So you're making it for your potluck.
Yeah, ironically, it's a Thanksgiving potluck. The main dish is already being given. It's just like extra stuff, and I was like, I love making bruschetta, so I'll just it's fairly easy to make. It's a raw appetizer, technically speaking, but like, why not?
I think it's a great thing to bring to a party. It's easy. It's delicious. It goes on anything. It's like an Italian cranberry sauce.
Yeah.
Got to go back to this comment one more time to kind of reiterate again. Even Anthony's saying he's not going out like this. There's just no way this can't be the end of Anthony's story. It just doesn't feel right. We have to have Anthony back for a second chance. Hell's Kitchen, any producers you're watching this, bring Anthony back for a second chance. This has to, or give us a second chance season for God's sakes. Just this can't be the end for him. So hopefully, again, we'll see. It's unfortunately the end for him now. We'll talk more about Anthony later. But hopefully he does get a second chance. So let's go over who all earned the points. Well, obviously the people who earned the points, as we know, got to sit out of the challenge. And Brittany, I can imagine how much of a relief that was. And so obviously you didn't know it was coming. Well, did anyone else in the competition know it was coming? Okay, interesting.
No, we had zero clue what was going on. And to be honest with you, we had zero clue almost always. Every single reaction you see from us is extremely authentic. And I was in a skirt. I feel like that's a running theme. I'm like in a hat and a skirt, like one or the other. But we literally got called after the challenge, and we had no clue what was going on, and it was so nerve-wracking. But yeah, it felt really good to be on my side because, like I said, like with your ranking, 9 out of 11 you're putting me at. Listen, I'm used to it. I'm so used to being the one that's never like in the top 3. I'm always like the funny one or like the creative one like in my life, but I never like get taken seriously enough. And so it was really great for me to have that moment where I felt like in the winner's circle and not just like the person that kind of hiding in the shadows,
Yeah. Who did you think? We'll get to the predictions.
Yeah.
I mean, well, we heard pretty much all the chat agrees. We all thought it was Lulu that was going home. What was the consensus around the winner circle? Who was going home?
Anne Marie was definitely, but in defense, and I reached out to her personally because I don't like being mean. It's not really in my nature. And so I reached out to her personally and I said, look, on the TV, the dish looks terrible because it did, but it obviously wasn't. It was just very difficult for us to see, and there was a lot going on. So in the moment, I thought it was her, but now looking back and especially watching, I think that I could see why your predictions are the way they are. But yeah, the winner's circle, is that what we're calling us? I'll take it. I'll take it. I'll take it. In the winner's circle, it felt like for sure we thought it was Anne-Marie and Lulu, that those were like kind of the major ones, but we were concerned with how things are going for Anthony as well. So yeah.
Yeah.
What about you guys? What were you thinking?
Yeah, go. Well, we all kind of agreed about Lulu last week, and that's pretty much what the chat was saying as well. Let me ask you that, Gumball. Did anything change for you? I know you were kind of scared about Anthony, but were you still thinking Lulu?
Yeah, I felt like Lulu could have made a lot of sense here. I mean, she's someone who we had literally been seeing making mistakes the last couple of weeks. It felt like we were starting to see like a lot of cracks with her. So but really, it's like I feel like this entire field, like I could have seen like almost any other person besides Anthony going home, like coming into that challenge, if I'm being honest, because like you had like Amanda, who obviously got a lot of focus last week and this week. You have Anne Marie, who, as Brittany mentioned, is someone who a lot of people were worried about. Even Brandon is someone who could have made the case for as someone who was like a bit overconfident. So like it wouldn't have shocked me if anyone else had gone home, but like I would have said Lulu probably. If I had to pick one person, probably Lulu.
There were a few people that I thought weren't going to be there. Like it was weird for me to see Brandon and me be on the couch, and that made me feel good too. But
yeah, he even said himself. We'll talk about Brandon in a second. He even said himself that just happened to be bad timing for him. Ultra, who did you think? Were you still on the Lulu train going into this elimination challenge?
I was actually one of the few people who said I don't think it's going to be Lulu going home. I'll be honest, my prediction I did have was a little stupider. I did think that Anne-Marie would be a little bit more in trouble, but I actually had not paid super close attention to the promo, which, as people would point out later, spoiled directly who was all going to be in the Cook for Your Life challenge. So had I noticed that, I would have rephrased my predictions because, all due respect, I thought, Brittany, that you were going to be in there. I didn't actually see that part, so
I'm here to prove you wrong.
Proved me wrong. I can admit when I'm wrong. But I figured that it would be somebody who had at least a little bit of had like a nomination history, because that's how these Cook Your Life challenges have always worked, like being nominated at least once. So I was thinking it would probably more likely be Anne-Marie or maybe Egypt in that case. Again, without knowing what the promo showed us. And then after seeing the promo, I was like, oh, well, I guess that locks in that's Anne-Marie. I think everyone's wrong about Lulu. And I was closer, I guess, than most people because Lulu got saved earlier. But no, it's we were all still wrong about who it was.
Yeah. By the way, Brittany, I gotta say it is really dumb how because you guys I know have to sign like some serious NDAs to make sure you don't break. But the thing is, the Hell's Kitchen spoils who makes it pretty far sometimes, or who goes home early on the previews and whatnot. I don't want to spoil it to the chat, but apparently I spoiled who some of the final 8 were, or at least who made it to the blind taste test. So I just gotta say I feel bad for you guys. They're so strict about that, and but then Hell's Kitchen just spoils it anyway.
Yeah, it's always interesting, I've actually been on the other side of this camera. My other career outside of being a chef is actually being a writer, director, and producer.
Oh, yeah.
And so for me, it's extra fun to watch it, and weird, like you said, like to see like that the rules are very strict, and then you don't ever know what they're going to do. But I think that's part of the fun, though. I actually find it very exciting. Like tonight, we never saw a few of the things that we never saw the elimination from the inside. They turned the TVs off, so we didn't get to see it. So this was the first time we actually got to see it. And I think that, sometimes they spoil it and don't want us to.
Yeah, we got it.
Kyle always stirring up the drama.
I love it. Spill
I
the
knew
tea.
that if I wore this pink outfit, he would come for me.
Yeah, that's funny. But honest, and then Anthony asks, who was your favorite chef to work with this season, at least so far?
Oh my gosh, this is very difficult. Okay, I'll pick one from the blue and one from the red. Okay, so Hannah, my girl Hannah, and
Yeah,
I
you
have to
go.
give her a little bit of a shout out because we have this thing that they haven't really shown on the show. But I know you, Hannah. You know that I know that you know that I know you. um,
Oh, okay, interesting.
So Hannah and she and I immediately, she was one of my favorite people. She thinks like me. She dresses really cool and crazy and awesome. And we immediately hit it off. And she was by far my favorite to work with on the red team. Although I love most of all the moments that I've shared, give or take a few.
She's still
And
here.
then,
She was
boys,
waiting for
it's time. There she is,
you.
Hannah,
Yeah,
my
she
girl.
heard her name.
She heard it. Her ears were ringing. And so Hannah for sure on the red team. And then my favorite on the blue, it's tough. To be honest, I bonded immediately with Shant, actually, probably the most. Um, so Shant immediately, and then Kyle and Anthony all day. Kyle and Anthony. Anthony and me were very close, like we both like were there for each other. And then Kyle was like my fashion queen, my he we played chess together. Kyle and I, by the way, he won most of the time. But Kyle and I are the closest of the guys now. Like we still play chess via on the phone, and he makes fun of my ridiculous fashion decisions like this one. And yeah, so those are my faves.
Yeah, we got a season 23 reunion going around here. And by the way, guys, so for next week, finally, I appreciate so much having the red team members on. As you can see, they're so close. But for next week, finally, we will have a season 20, at least as of now, and honestly for the weeks to follow, for the next 2 or 3 weeks, we will finally get some blue team members on for this from this season. So be on the lookout for that next week, guys. You can finally get a little bit more tea from the blues. They do like each other's teams for sure. So it's not just the red team that has a close bond. So looking forward to having some blue team members on here for sure. Cool. All right. We're on the Cook for Life challenge, I believe, right? We just kind of gave predictions, I believe. So here's what I thought. So when Lulu went first, I was like, is she really going to go home? Because usually, Ultra, back me up on this, because her dish wasn't that bad. And usually when people go first, unless it's like really, really bad, they don't go home. So when she had like a somewhat bad dish, what were you feeling about Lulu at that point after her like mediocre but not terrible first dish?
Honestly, because Haley's mentioned that her protein was really good, I was like, okay, I'm gonna wait for somebody whose protein is either under or overcooked then, because that's usually a sign that you're gonna have the worst dish, even if your garnish is perfect. That's a trend I personally have seen. We didn't quite get that. I figure we might between Amanda or Anne-Marie, but yeah, we didn't quite get that. We got something a little more severe, I guess.
And so now the big one here, man, chat. For the people who are in chat during the episode, you guys can attest to that. Gumball, once Anthony's dish, I forgot what was it that was in the dish that was like could have been dangerous. What was it exactly?
It was I think it was like a bone or something like that, or like a cartilage or something, like something that should not be put in your mouth, basically.
Yeah, if you all were in the chat, we were all shocked at that point because we was like, wait a minute, is he actually going home? Because like we said, it's one thing to have like other small mistakes here and there, really awful presentation, but that's literally a dangerous mistake. He has to go home at that point. Like you can't get around with that. So Gumball, did you think at that point, especially once Lulu, he didn't survive over Lulu, that Anthony was gone at least at that point?
Yeah, like I definitely was like a lot more open to Anthony going home at that point, because it's like, yeah, at the end of the day, like that's a terrible mistake. That's kind of really hard to look over, especially like once he like started tasting like Amanda's dish and saying, oh, it tastes pretty good, but it's kind of messy. He tastes like Anne-Marie's dish. He's like, oh, it's messy, but it's also good. It's like how are you going to eliminate those people for being messy when you make something like that? Like regardless of whatever's come before. So it's like Yeah, I think at that point I was a bit more open to Anthony going home. I was starting to think it more and more.
And that's my point from earlier, right? Like, yeah, Anthony's done like better than pretty much all the other four who are up for elimination, but especially Amanda and Anne Marie. Not especially, but he's done really, really well. Those two have had some bumps here and there. But again, there was no getting. Ramsay didn't care. There was just no getting around that fact. He made the far and away the worst dish. So you just couldn't overlook that mistake. So as much as it stinks to lose Anthony, it's so heartbreaking to lose him this early. At least because that's the thing. Had Amanda or Anne Marie gone home for like a messy dish and like maybe even been worse than Anthony throughout the competition after Anthony made a terrible mistake like that, I'd just be like, I'm sorry, man. I love Anthony, but that just wouldn't have felt right. So, but yeah, unfortunately, that is the case. We say goodbye. One of the most shocking moments possibly in Hell's Kitchen history, shocking eliminations. We say goodbye to Anthony. So let's go around the table here. Gumball, again, your first ever season of doing power rankings full time. You're number one through all seven power rankings, 7 weeks.
Wow, really?
Yeah, from episode 1, even before any cooking, anything, he felt good about Anthony when no one else did. I was on board. Everyone else was on board too. What happened? What happened to Anthony here?
Yeah, so I did go all in on Anthony right from the start. He reminded me a lot of Jonathan from last season, to be honest. Like, I felt like he was kind of like on that similar path for a lot of it. Like, again, really like I feel like his edit up to that point was actually pretty solid, even though people were saying that he was like pretty quiet. Like, I felt like he was getting pretty much everything I could have asked for, really, like without being too obvious, but still being like this narrator for the season. But yeah, this felt like the episode where things kind of went wrong for him. Definitely like we're laying it a bit on too thick, and to be fair, like I think now it kind of opens it up for like other contenders that I had to like sneak their way up. But yeah, like I think before this episode, like for him to be the boot here is definitely like very shocking to say the least.
Ultra, what's your thoughts on Anthony this season?
I was high on him too, to be fair. I mean, he was literally my second pick, which, by the way, here's a peculiar coincidence. For all three of us in our drafts, the last person that we all picked has been eliminated, and the second person that we all picked has been eliminated. Second was for all of us was for you, Flynn, it was Shant. For Gumball was Megan, and for me it was Anthony. And then our last was Yuri. Then Gumball had Michael, and Flynn was left with Corbin.
Well, then I won't take your picks too personally then, because I'm still here and I wasn't a pick. So,
but yeah, like I was completely blindsided by this too. I'm not gonna lie. I figured he might somehow, mistake or not, I figured that maybe for the sake of consistency, he might let Anne Marie go just because love her and all. We got a chance to talk to her. Was it last week or the week prior? I've been losing track of the week prior. Sorry. She's obviously an amazing person. I just felt like for consistency's sake in the competition, Anthony just had to have a one up on her. But I'm also not going to fault Gordon Ramsay for, again, eliminating somebody who can make a daily mistake like that. I think stuff like that has happened in the past. I might be thinking, no, wait, I'm thinking of MasterChef, where people did something similar, like leaving like crab shells within like their crab meat. So yeah, stuff like that does need to be taken to task for, but man, I'm gonna miss him, and it's a massive dent in my ranking. But honestly, for the sake of the season and the unpredictable factor of it, yeah, it does open the field for everybody. Yep, Brittany, you could take us all away for all I know.
Yeah, I was just going to say, chat. I know. So give us, chat, now your final two predictions. Now that a big part of that final two last week when we did predictions was Anthony. So chat, let me know what you think. Now we got Egypt versus Wit and Wit and Hannah. So yeah, Brittany, kind of give your thoughts on it. I know you kind of already a little bit, but to give your overall thoughts on Anthony, how shocking was it to see the aftermath of that? Of Anthony go home, and yeah, just overall thoughts on Anthony.
The feeling live when Anne Marie walked back in was very much heart-wrenching because, to be honest with you, of course, I didn't want Anne Marie to go, but I definitely was rooting for Anthony. But seeing that mistake, and look, I love the guy, but one thing that's always driven me crazy on this show and other shows is like, I make mistakes and I'm not perfect. And clearly I am who I am. but there are things I would never do. I would never, ever serve something that wasn't edible. I would never serve anything with a bone ever in my life. And I've messed up quite a few things. To be honest with you, I would just not serve it. And that means that he just really genuinely didn't see it because no chef would, right? And that's just a genuine mistake. It's just we're human. And it was sad now because I didn't know why. Again, we didn't even get to see him after that. That was it. And it was sucks not to be able to say goodbye.
That's
And as
the rude
soon as
part.
I had my phone again, he was the first person I reached out to because we really bonded. So my heart is broken tonight too with the rest of
Yeah,
you.
for sure, for sure.
Although I
So
didn't have him in my top two, I will be honest, but I'm not going to say that until everything's done. But at this point, I had an idea of who the top 2 or 3 were, including myself, of course, because you got to stay confident.
for sure, yeah, yeah. So yeah, let me ask you, guys. This is an interesting one. We've been kind of interested about the Brandon versus Egypt kind of rivalry, but not really. It seems like Brandon's been the most vocal about Egypt's shortcomings throughout the season. But Gumball, I'm interested to hear your thoughts about this because Brandon was insanely cocky throughout this entire time. He was like, okay, first bad dish challenge I made, whatever. I'm gonna survive while he was cooking a dish. Yeah, I'm gonna do great. And I'll be damned, he did do great. So what does this episode mean for Brandon for you? Because I thought this was a really good episode for Brandon, especially since he outcasted Egypt earlier as the entire team, but Egypt's big rival did really damn well as himself. So how do you feel about Brandon here?
Yeah, so like I think, and I talked about this in my last video, but I think the thing about Brandon is like we have seen him being like a consistent chef. Like we have seen him like perform well, like make good dishes, and this episode was no exception. Like, but I think the major issue with Brandon is that we just haven't really seen him being like an active leader. Like it seems like a lot of his screen time is him talking about other people, like talking about Egypt, talking about Lulu, like, and I feel like he hasn't really like demonstrated himself to be a leader. Like, and some of that may be my own like bias, like where it's hard for me to see someone like a Brandon just be a leader. But I also feel like the show hasn't really shown him being a leader the same way that Egypt has attempted to step and be a leader. So while I think Brandon could definitely be there for a while, I think like the lack of demonstrated leadership ability like could catch up to Brandon at some point unless we actually start to see it more.
And I'll stick with you as well, being the power rankings guy. Obviously, Wits, I believe, was number 2 in your ranking, right? For the past couple of weeks. So, how do you feel about not only is number 1 and Anthony gone, but Wits also got her big confessional as well, her big backstory as well. So, are you feeling as of now that Wits is going to be a top contender for you?
Yeah, I mean, she kind of has to at this point. Like, I feel like she's definitely more of a contender now at this point.
Megan, hi Megan. Sorry.
Hey Megan. Yeah, like I feel like in a lot of ways, like outside of one person, I think it just caused everyone to move up a little bit. Now that Anthony's gone, everyone just moves up a spot. That's what I'm thinking at the moment.
Okay, cool. That's the big thing I got edit-wise. Again, the unfortunate thing about this episode is that it's hard to get too much of a storyline. But Gumball, any other thoughts you have, like edit-wise about this, or just in general about this episode that you have for a little bit of preview for your next power rankings?
Yeah, so I did allude to one person who I'm not too sure about. I'm actually not. I actually thought this was not the best episode for Kyle, like because we saw like people getting annoyed by him during the punishment, like and. People are thinking that he's just goofing around. Like I did this was kind of a negative episode for Kyle. Like I could see Kyle moving down a little bit because I did have Kyle also relatively high, but I feel like that's like the other major development to come out of this week.
Yeah, boy, we've got 2 stands here in the chat with Megan and Anthony going out back to back. Boy, that's tough. Megan, so glad to join us from Hawaii. Thank you for joining us. Ultra, any other thoughts you got about this episode whatsoever, whether it's for the future or just something you want to touch on that we haven't touched upon? Just lay it on.
2 things. One, as far as the promo for next episode goes, I am very happy to see chefs like Nikki, Declan, and Tara all come back. I don't know who else I caught, but definitely those 3. And Nikki sounds like she's going to be like very active within that dining room. That's awesome. But also I wanted to touch what I thought about the whole Brandon-Egypt rivalry. I'm not just saying this because of what you posted below, because like, be nice to him for next week. But personally, I do think that any sort of backlash that Brand's gotten is kind of overblown. Like I haven't been there, so I don't know what Brittany personally thinks about Brandon, but like a little cocky, sure, but given this is the show Hell's Kitchen we're talking about, we've all seen much worse than Brandon. Let's be realistic.
For sure.
I'll be honest. It was very interesting for me to hear you describe him that way, or that people might have the perception of him that way. I think of him extremely the opposite. He actually, we didn't have as tight of a bond, of course, as some of the other people on the show. But what I really appreciate about him is both of us are actually introverted. Don't let my outfit fool you. But actually, he was very like, I really like his energy was very calming for me. And I felt like his skills were cocky. Like when he was cooking, I was like, fuck, this guy's good, But the way he acted is nothing like that, in my opinion, at least from my perspective. Of course, I wasn't on his team, so maybe it's different. But from what I saw from the outside looking in and being in the same space, and we shared a wall, and there were some really funny stories on the wall. And so I just have a different perspective of him. But his food definitely in the way he's so kind of calm, maybe there's like that quiet little confident assassin, I like it. But it was weird seeing him like that, but describe it.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's just one of those instances where if you don't have like a true villain this season, you always, fans will always hate, right? And seeing with Egypt getting the big underdog story, and like it seems like Brandon's like the most like who doesn't believe in him. It just kind of makes Brandon an easy outlier, and like he doesn't seem like the most entertaining person in the world. I don't know how you feel about that, but from the edit, it's not like compared to like you and Anne Marie, for example, right? I could see why, unfortunately, just like that. But like I said, guys, we gotta calm down. We gotta calm down the Brandon hate. That's all I'm gonna say if next week goes according to plan. So just keep that in mind, y'all. Ruby will come here in a second with a surprise for you all. Not the best of surprises, unfortunately, but while we're waiting for Ruby, we got some.
Is it Kyle?
Say what?
I said, is the surprise Kyle?
Something.
He said not the best.
Also, this is nitpicky, but I couldn't help but notice throughout the entire chat that Kyle, I think you spelled your last name wrong. I thought it was Timpson, but it's spelled Tim's pun. And did I read that wrong? I think you might have typoed your last name or something.
His own last name?
I think so.
I got a question.
Let me double check because I got the chat open.
That's actually my brother-in-law that asked that question. Hi, Alex. Hi, Caitlin. So let's shout out. They just got married and moved to Chicago. So congratulations. Do you want me to answer it?
Yeah, sure.
So Gordon, first of all, the most, the GOAT. You just can't describe. If you've been in his presence, you've been in his presence. It's incredible. I was so grateful to have met him and be in the same room and have pictures with Gordon Ramsay. He was a lot. One thing they don't show very much of is he's an extremely helpful chef. He really nurtures you and spends more time with you than you would really realize. And those moments are so special. And he's just like way better looking in person, by the way.
Yeah.
And so cool, but like very welcoming and warm. And it's a wonderful person, wonderful show to be a part of.
Kind of touched on Amanda earlier. She's had an interesting 2-episode run. How do you feel about Amanda at this point in the competition?
I thought that was another thing I thought. I feel like there have been a lot of mistakes at this point in the show that she's made, forgetting ingredients on a plate that were part of the challenge, really big things. So I thought at this point during this show where the fight for your life, I was like, oh, this might be Amanda's final kind of straw, kind of like how Anthony unfortunately had, but she had a few more mistakes than him. So, just like her and Anne Marie, freaking good for them. Perseverance, it's a really, excuse my language, it's a very fucking hard thing to be a part of. So with, of course I've got like my own opinions, but at the end of the day, like anyone that's still on the show right now deserves to be there, just like a few of our fallen soldiers. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I was gonna
that's my
say,
feelings
I
about
didn't even,
Amanda.
I didn't even ask you that. Just in general, how does it feel to be in the top 10? That's crazy, crazy accomplishment for sure.
I mean, that was my first goal. You don't get to see it on the show, but I was really notorious for having like manifestations. Like I would write down right before I went on the show, I wrote down like, you make it to the top 10, your black
Yeah.
jacket, all these really cool positive affirmations. And I would give them to other chefs and I would keep them on me. And that day when I pulled it out of my hat, it's the one that I got and I would put them in random pockets. And so I pulled one out and it said, you make the top 10. And then I did. So it was great.
Cool. I'll give you one more question, then we'll bring in Ruby here real quickly. What has been your favorite award of the season at this point?
I actually really liked the kayaking trip. After we went
Yeah.
kayaking, we actually had a really wonderful dinner. Like how Wit said tonight, her most memorable dinner, my most memorable dinner was actually at the kayaking and it was in Connecticut and it was incredible. And that was like one of my favorite ones. Getting outside after days of inside, that was my favorite.
Yeah, most Alaskan
that
response from Ruby. And speaking of Ruby, guys, don't be freaked out. He's had some stuff going on for him recently, and he'll explain that in a second. But please welcome, and he's still here despite everything. Join us from the hospital is Ruby. Ruby, what's going on, my man? I know. Why don't you explain to the chat what's going on here?
What's up, everybody? So, I think a lot of you might remember last week I was starting to have a cold. I was starting to be sick again. Well, yeah. So I thought I was having another, regular cold or whatever. But I have to admit, this one was a bit different. And I thought that even though it was a bit different, it would last maybe 3-4 days. Then it would be done with, right? But I noticed over the weekend and the beginning, like Monday, that I was just like increasingly having a tough time breathing. And long story short, Tuesday I found out that I have bilateral pneumonia. So that's it. I'm here at the hospital. I'm fine. I'm not going to die. Don't worry about that, guys.
Yeah, I was asking that, so just get that out of the way.
I'm going to make it out of this. It's just a question of how many days, probably a few. Next week, you're going to see me back in my spot. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I just have pneumonia. But the reason why I'm here at the hospital is that they have to give me antibiotics. But in the meantime, I have to get my breathing. Like I was having bad breathing, and I need to fix that. So while the antibiotics are being put in and they're taking care of that, they're giving me an oxygen boost. And that's why I'm at the hospital, because I need the oxygen boost. And it's going well so far. So far, I'm improving.
That's awesome to hear, man. Like, we appreciate you. You're badass for joining us despite me in the hospital. It's so much appreciated. Now, I apologize. Are you still going to give do you just want me to post the poll, or you still want to give us the most recent eliminated contestants? How do you want to go about the game?
Yeah, I want to do the full shebang. Let's just go with the.
All right.
Wait,
from the hospital.
Game? I love games.
Yeah, from the. Before we start, pretty much what Ruby's on his channel, like every week, he's just trying to figure out who the most popular Hell's Kitchen contestant is, like top 10, top 20. So every week people vote to eliminate like 20 chefs, and whoever gets the most amount of votes gets eliminated. And I believe Ruby, we're at how many are left so far?
162, and after I reveal these names, 144.
Yeah, so it's pretty much a popularity contest from the Hell's Kitchen fan base gets to choose. So we just do it every week. So
wow.
I keep Brittany in suspense about this because I forget too. Is she still in it?
Yeah, like most of season 23 is still there.
Yeah. So you're already.
I threw them in the pot game, so
you're already halfway through the competition, right? So let's say Ruby fired away at us. Who are the next 20-ish people gone from the hospital? Let's go.
Yeah. So 18. Well, the next 18, 162. LA. The lighting's gonna suck here. So we've got LA from season 5. Then we've got what's his face?
Louis from season 8.
Yeah. Oh, come on, gosh.
Or some did occur for the
I'm kind of a Hell's Kitchen encyclopedia. I'm
Louis
sorry.
from season 8. And this guy, he should have stayed. He should have stayed. I'm pissed off that he left that early. AB from season 21.
Believe it.
Coop from season 16.
Yeah.
Vlad from season 21.
21. Yeah. Got some.
I don't know why I'm going close to the camera like I could see it better.
Yeah,
I'm
just wanna
getting
see.
old.
Yeah, that's my job, Brett. Anyway, we've got
Josh
Vlad.
from season 19.
Yeah, it's true. I was gonna say Vlad, but Vlad passed. Yeah, because I put these pictures here on purpose because the next one's a season 23 person. So yeah, we've got Josh, season 19.
Who is it? Wait.
It can't be. I'm gonna say Brittany.
I'm gonna guess Brandon.
Okay, who says Brittany?
No, not me. I don't say it.
Okay, who said
Who did you
Brandon?
guess, Flynn?
I'm thinking Brandon as well.
Brandon.
Okay, we got two Brandon. Brittany, what do you think?
Maybe it could be anyone on the season 23.
Anybody? Well, I mean, so there's some people already gone, but it
Yeah.
could be.
Can it be someone that's already gone? I would say
I just-
Yuri.
Yeah,
Yuri's
sorry.
gone.
Oh, then I would go Amanda.
Amanda, yeah, she just left last week.
Could I change mine actually to Wit?
Wit is she's still in the game. I'll accept that. So one Wit, one Brandon.
One Amanda.
All right.
He said Amanda's out.
Oh, really? Shoot.
I just-
Anne-Marie then. Anne-Marie.
Okay, one Anne-Marie. Okay. And
Oh,
then-
Anne-Marie.
Okay,
Okay,
two Anne-Marie.
All right,
So
show
none
us.
of you are right. This is the most ghostly thing ever. It's Anthony.
What?
No.
Wow.
I'm kidding.
That
It's
is
Michael.
no.
It's Michael. Fuck
Oh,
you
it's
guys.
Michael.
Fuck you guys.
How's
Don't
that?
worry,
Okay, you got
don't
us. You got us. You got us good. You guys good.
Because I wouldn't have said that. Yeah, that was dark humor.
I heard he was already out of your popularity contest.
Look at all these comments. You got us good.
Yeah, and then next person. The minute I
Yeah.
talk about the semantics behind this person, you're gonna know who I'm talking about. But this person, you're gonna see a male face, but she goes by Sarah now, even though they used to be called Will Cole. Now she is called Sarah K. Phoenix. But here we've got Will/Sarah, but today you call her Sarah. You know what I mean?
Sarah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm gonna say I've said this before. I'll say it again. Sarah K. Phoenix is a badass name choice to change your name.
It is. It really is.
Yeah. And so here I think this is brilliant because here it's fair because like the K is perfect. It's just like Will Cole, but Sarah K. Phoenix at the same time. You know what I mean?
It's not just a lowercase. It's literally Kaye.
No, it is Kaye, but I just feel like it's good because in both cases the initials the same. I like that.
I guess that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. Next we've got Ralph from season 12. By the way, the season 12 list is plummeting, guys. Same thing with season 11.
Why? I love season 12's cast.
Yeah. Then we've got Peter Pan, aka Jennifer Salhoff.
I don't get it. Why Peter Pan?
Yeah, I'm curious. Peter Pan
It's
too.
'cause-
Never
it's 'cause
grows
of the
up
hair,
or what?
no?
Huh?
Is it because of the hair?
No.
I don't know.
All right, this is me. I thought that was a Peter Pan haircut. Anyway, next up, this person, I like this guy's personality, but I really was like, I got pissed that this guy went too far, so I was like, rooting for this guy to go as early as possible. Jimmy Casey, season 1. And season 1 is one of my favorite seasons because, season 1. Next up, season 11, Amanda Giblin. Next up, season 19, Cyan.
How many did it start with?
Excuse me?
How many did this list start with?
361.
Okay.
Yeah, so this one here is another person who was eliminated by Cook for Your Life.
Yep. Oh yeah, yeah.
And no, she wasn't. She was eliminated by nomination.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
You're right.
that's right.
By
That's
Cook for
right.
Your Life.
You're right. But she was eliminated in 11th, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
that is
She
correct.
was the last like pre-giffer, so
That was a weird scene. Yeah.
she's got that in common with what's his face, Anthony. Next
There.
up,
Face.
Victoria Sonora from Young Guns. That's funny.
I don't like the young ones, you know what I mean? I'm getting old, so. Although online, someone marked me at 42 years old. I want to clear the air. I am not 42.
Question: how old do I look?
29. You're either you're really
He's 28.
old 29. You're an old 29, or you're a really
He's
young
28
32.
years old.
I'm impressed you actually got that old. I'm not quite that old, but you get closer than most other people do. I'm 28. Yeah,
First of all,
as
I could
Ruby
work at a
said.
fair.
I'm
I
actually
can
the
guess
oldest
weight,
person
height.
amongst all four of us.
Yeah. That's true.
So
right.
next up is Amanda from season 9.
My pick for most forgettable chef ever. That's my pick.
I disagree. Like she's got something. Like I sort of thought her meltdown in that service was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I thought it was Brianna from season 10 that takes that award.
Most
Anyway.
forgettable?
Yeah, most forgettable.
Or Chris from season 10 as well.
Yeah, I lean more towards him.
Yeah, so
I hope I never make that list. Go ahead.
Next.
No, you definitely won, yeah.
Next, someone from season 21. Guess who?
Who's all still in? Just so, or you'll tell us whether in
All right, whatever. Just give me any name, and you'll be right or wrong.
Oh, it's very wrong. Okay, so I'm gonna say it's gonna be who's Daphne?
Okay.
Cheyenne.
Okay.
They haven't.
Is that who I want in that spot? It's just who I'm guessing because I'm going.
Mindy Living Good.
That's kind of weird. One of my first ever guests to join the. For those of you who don't remember, it wasn't a recap stream, but it was a little guest.
Yeah, I forgot that she was actually on the show.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, on your show. I mean.
Oh yeah. Little guest one. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So we at one point we lost like a shit ton of season 15 contestants, and then all of a sudden they stopped going away because there's only a few left. Now we've finally got another one going away. Eddie Jaskawiak, a Rob.
No, not Eddie.
I like Eddie.
He doesn't love Eddie. Yeah.
Forgotten
Rob. All right, how many more?
Eddie Brock. I'm kidding. How many more? Another person who if you put them right next to each other, they look so much like one another.
Oh, you're right. That's
right. Yeah, I guess a little bit.
Two Rob contestants in a row. Yeah, underrated.
Yeah. And how many Aaron Smock is the last of this week's boots.
All right. So Brittany survived. Cool.
I sent Flynn a list for the next week. So basically, we've got the same glitch problem from last week. Everybody who's been eliminated for this week and last week, they're going to have like stickers that say eliminated, like snaps. You're going to have to just pretend like they're not there. Otherwise, it's fair game. The rest of the contestants, you could click on them. Try to pick 20 contestants. And next week, there's going to be the usual 18 contestants going home.
Don't send me home.
Yeah.
And that's it. So don't vote me because I'm not going to be on it. Don't vote for. Yeah, I'm not allowed to influence the vote. Okay, vote for Brittany. Yeah, I'm kidding.
I'm so unlikable. It's really exhausting being
she's cringe, all right?
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, guys, you better if any week to join the game, especially as we get to the top 100, things are getting too gritty. Especially if Ruby joined us for the hospital, you better join his game for helping us join this podcast. So yeah, go vote. The link as is there. Yeah. He'll be on his channel as well as usual. So yeah, go vote. So we're at 141 now, or what? 142, or what? What are we at now?
We're at 144.
Yeah, so the top 144 remaining. So go vote on his channel.
Perfect square,
guys.
50 percentile so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So let's finish off with some predictions for next week. Gumball. It is, of course, the ever so important charity night dinner service looks like next week. And we'll also try, if I do say more questions at the end, we'll ask a couple more questions for Brittany at the end. But real quick, Gumball, what is your predictions for the Cook for Your Life, the charity night dinner service next week?
I don't really have any predictions right at the bat. I mean, I'm expecting this to be Probably like another messy service because we just had like a decent one like the last time. So like I would expect it to be like a rough service, a lot of mistakes, a lot of Ramsey bringing people over. So that's my prediction at least.
And Ultra, we kind of said this last time. We've now had, can you believe we've come to the point where we've now had more seasons with charity night services as opposed to seasons without? That's kind of crazy. So predictions for next week.
My prediction, and don't confirm or deny anything, Brittany. You got your NDA and everything. I'm gonna say Amanda goes home. I'm not gonna lie, like the fact that she's had a little bit of a faltering recently, I think this might be what pushes her over the edge.
Yeah, I assume it's charity night. The way they edited, right? It kind of looked like it was charity night. The way they're, I feel like they're at the pass. Can you guys confirm that to me?
That all being said, by the way, some things that they were also alluding to in that promo about like chef saying we're not going to leave this kitchen. That's part of the reward challenge. I'm just gonna take a shot in the dark on that one. Like it's the one where you all have to cook like certain dishes, probably from the menu. Could be wrong. They switch it up sometimes. But at certain intervals, Gordon Ramsay will tell the team, you gotta have somebody leave the kitchen right now and fix away their dish. And then like at the very end, he brings them all back in. That's what I'm thinking is gonna happen because there's no way stuff like that happens in service. They could surprise me. I just doubt it.
All right, Brittany. Again, thank you so much for joining us, Brittany. It was really great to have you. Got one more question.
I have a question for Brittany.
One more question. All right, I'll give it. So we got two more questions for you then. Real quick, what was your opinion on the sous chefs this season and James and Michelle?
Well, we didn't know anything. So I've never really seen the episode. So all of my opinions coming from just meeting them in person, right? And I would have liked to have been able to spend a little bit more time with them and learn a little bit more from them, but they were so helpful and very kind and made a very intimidating situation feel a lot more comfortable. And it was really cool whenever they would give you like their own like kind of personal opinions as they were tasting food. And even from the Blues Kitchen side, it was so great. Seeing both totally different styles. I will say probably my style matches up. It seemed like at first it was going to be more like, oh man, I would do better with someone like Chef James. But actually, Chef Michelle, she said something that really like kind of helped me through. I was honestly, to make it as short as possible, I was going through a really tough divorce at this time when I took this opportunity and kind of not knowing where my life was and feeling all over the place. And sometimes I would feel down, and Chef Michelle always told me not to make myself for anyone. And so it really helped kind of fast track me into getting my groove back, the advice that her and some other people on the show gave me.
And Ruby, one more question for Brittany before we call it a night.
So yeah, I want to just first, before I ask the question, I just want to inform everybody that behind the scenes, before the stream started, I kind of surprised everybody by joining the pre-show and said that, because I wanted to see everybody's faces after the Anthony Boo. I was like, what the fuck just happened? Like, I wanted to see all you guys. And so I saw everybody's faces. We talked about it. And then I said, can't join for the long streams, but I'll join towards the end for the polls. But I'll be typing in the comments as we go along. But I did forget to ask Brittany a question. That's what I'm going to ask here. As usual, I ask this to everybody. But based on the language you were using earlier, I think I know the answer to this. Were you recruited or were you an applicant for the show?
I was recruited, and actually I was living in Alaska, and I was opening up a restaurant on a peninsula in Homer. So represent all the Alaskans out there. But going through my divorce, and I had started a whole new Instagram. And I'm glad you asked this question because it's really cool. And it just goes to show you that, yeah, it matters how many followers you have, but it doesn't. Keep posting those videos if that's what you want to do to grab attention. But I had 6 followers on my new Instagram because, I don't know if you've been through bad breakups or divorces. I'm like, can't go on the old one. I had 6 followers. I posted 2 videos, and I got a producer slid into my DM from one of the videos. And I didn't have a lot of following or anything. And I auditioned just like everyone else. But yeah, I was recruited, and I had been on television before. I was on Food Network in 2014.
Okay.
Cool. That's really cool. All right, cool. Yeah, this was a very, very fun stream, guys. The season keeps on. I think it's going to be very hard at this point for the season not to be a good one. Man, what a surprising! So sad to see Anthony go home, but what a shocking outcome. And now the season,
Anthony, man, like, yeah,
we
this is such a guy's situation. Like, so, like, his grandma dies, then he gets oral cancer, right?
Yeah.
Then he goes home on just that one crucial fatal mistake, man. And
that's it.
Fatal in two senses of the word.
Yeah, that's all it took for him to go home.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
And then next week is gonna be where I am, right here. You know, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
If I had a nickel for every time in Hell's Kitchen there was a chef named Anthony who had a backstory regarding how much they loved their grandmother and then had a completely out of nowhere downfall, I'd have, a dime.
Yeah, you'd have a dime. I've heard this joke many times before.
Yeah, I was trying to spin it up on that. But yeah, between we got Anthony season 23 and Anthony season 11. I know I heard him talk about I think it was Nana at least once or twice. And first off, you gotta love a guy who has a close relationship with their grandmother and whatnot. Because who doesn't love grandmothers? They're wonderful.
There were so many guys on the show that were very close to their, it was really difficult for me. Everyone had all this family and I was like alone. But like Anthony was so sweet, all the love to the grandmas.
Yeah, so yeah, like I said, the season was really unpredictable, but I was like, okay, whatever. It's still obviously probably gonna be Anthony. Now it's like you all know me. I love seasons like 15 and 18 way more than others because of how unpredictable it is. I cannot imagine where the season's going now. I'm not even gonna think about it where at this point because
imagine being me, knowing and then listening to everything you're saying. It's
so
great, so juicy.
I can only imagine how. Oh my God, we had Mateus on last week, but how people felt watching us say, "Oh yeah, it's Anthony for sure. Probably Anthony's gonna win final two, at least final two for sure." Boy, they're probably all laughing at us how stupid we are. These Hell's Kitchen massive fans, we don't know what the hell we're talking about.
Well, that feeling is making me feel good because you put me at last place, and now I feel better because both your predictions were wrong. So
yeah,
good for me.
Yeah.
So with all that said, for you three, Ruby, Gumball, and Ultra, anything to expect from you when it comes? Obviously, Gumball, you got your Hell's Kitchen stuff. I cannot wait, guys. We gotta watch that next Monday, so be on the lookout for that. Ultra and Ruby, anything for you? Anything for you guys?
Ultra, you could go first.
Still working on my 1,500 subscriber special. I'm going to try to optimize my videos. I'm also working on my worst and best of 2014 videos as soon as I possibly can. My goal was to try and get most of those videos out by December. Odds are I might be a little bit late on them, which is not ideal, but better late than never on all those things. Because, yeah, Brittany, I don't know if I mentioned this, but reality TV, animation, and pop music are my fortes.
Oh, well, writing, cooking, and chatting with you guys right now are my fortes.
For sure. Cool. So Fox, thank you so much for the donation. And cool. So Brittany, it's so fun to have you on. Thank you so much for joining us. Do you have anything else you want to say? Or what can people speaking of Instagram or social media, where can people follow?
Yeah, please. Yeah. So Brittany the Curious is my Instagram because that's how I cook. That's how I live my life. Always open for and ready for a challenge. So Brittany the Curious, follow me. I'm also a retired ex-Muay Thai fighter. So Muay Thai Brit is my other handle. But also Kyle, how did you wear this? I am dying. It is hot. It is sticky. And I did this for comedic effect, but it's regrettable because this thing is tight.
But Kyle's fashion over comfort, isn't he?
Oh, both of us. Oh, yeah. Oh, I hate when people say that. Oh, wear what's comfortable. Absolutely not.
No,
yeah,
that's my job. I wear what's
pick whatever you feels best.
Yeah, it was the fashion war continues. That's my final words. Let's see who wears it better moving forward. Thanks so much, you guys.
So as far as I'm concerned, I'm.
Go ahead.
If Rose?
No, I don't think so. Ruby, you with us? Still with us, man?
Yeah, I'm with us. Yeah, I'm with you guys. Got you?
We're gonna say something.
Yeah, I can hear you. I think we thought you were trying.
There was a freeze for a sec. So so basically, I was gonna respond that as usual, I don't really have any new YouTube videos coming up, and also it's not gonna be for a while.
I was gonna say.
But I will say this: I think that I am brewing a few things in my brain. I have to admit there were a few ideas coming into my head, and I think the Anthony boot gave us all this idea of we gotta really like. I think all four of us need to have a meeting where we do a collaboration video of like 5 of us, like each of us given 5-second chancers, and we do a cast video, something like that.
Well,
I'm like going that way.
A what?
It's funny, a cast video.
Oh.
A cast, but
Yeah,
it's
we
funny you
did.
see. So I saw a comment earlier. I never got to it. So yeah, guys, for my next couple of videos, I might have to change this now. For this Sunday, y'all, for what to expect, I'm going to be ranking all the winners in Hell's Kitchen history based on how much I like them. So pretty much from a personality factor. Of course, I ranked the winners before, which I probably need to do. But of course, I ranked the winners before and on how talented they were. This will just strictly be a ranking about how much I like them. And after that, I was planning on doing a second chance cast. That was the that's already in the already set to be scheduled for not this Sunday, but next Sunday. But I might have to change that now with what happened to Anthony this.
I think you should do your. I think you should do your. Keep that video. That's like your pre-Anthony, your pre-season 23 second chance video. We all understand there's nothing wrong with that, and then we do our group video. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we could do something like that. So yeah, I'll have to decide what to do if we do a group video, or I have to like make a quick edit real quick. And obviously, I'll put Anthony on that. But yeah,
one thing I'm doing this one thing for once in my. I think the one thing I'm doing for once this season is I'm watching freaking Gumballs video because it's gonna be crazy on Monday.
For once, yeah, you should always,
entire season.
I think I watched 1 or 2 of his power rankings for Hell's Kitchen because I'm not really into these power rankings videos, especially when they tend to not change much, or the comments tend to not change much, at least from my perspective. But this one's gonna be wild. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing
I don't
it.
care. that's the best way to start my Mondays. As I always watch Gumball's videos to start my Mondays. Like, yeah, it gets my week off to a good start, getting that Hell's Kitchen gear. But yeah, guys, crazy. This was really it's crazy. I was going into the stream episode thinking, yeah, it's Lulu's going home, whatever, not much to talk about. Cookie for your life. Yeah, let's move on to next week. Turns out, again, for better or for worse, we lost Anthony, one of the most shocking eliminations in Hell's Kitchen history. We were on here for pretty much 80 minutes talking about this episode. Brittany was of course awesome to have on, so that was great. This was amazing stream, and like I said, guys, be on the lookout next week for sure. Because as of right now, I already kind of spoiled who it might be, but we should have a blue team member on next week for episode 9. I cannot believe it, guys. We're already almost halfway. No, we are halfway.
I forgot to say, go red.
Go red, yeah, exactly. Go red for sure.
What's up with the woman this season? Like
just
never
in time for next week.
How the red team was so so solidified together.
Yeah.
No, they for sure. But yeah, guys, it was a great stream, and like I said, check out the video this week of me ranking the winners for my least of favorites.
Nice meeting you too.
Yeah, good to meet you, Brittany. Great to have you on. Be sure to be on next week.
Thanks for everyone that watched too at home and all the questions. Thank you.
Yeah,
for sure. It's been a crazy episode. We'll see you next time, y'all. Have a good one.
Next time.
Bye, guys.
And we are still